All right, we are live. What's up? What's up? What's up, good people? We're a little later than normal, but we wanted to make sure that we came to you guys today and bring you a little something from the Teacher Project 2.0. I am here with Dr. L. Teddy, a 27 official.
Hey.
You're so stupid. So, as we told you guys, March will be when we begin our series on special education. So today, the first part of the show is going to really talk about an email that we received in reference to someone who is talking about going into education. And so they reached out to El Teddy. And so we're going to go there. And then we're going to just sort of do an overview of special education and what it is that we're going to be covering and over the next couple of weeks as it pertains to special education. Okay. Hey, Abby. What's up, boo? I don't know if the notifications are going out. I know earlier today my notifications weren't going out, but you know, we rock with who we rock with. It is what it is. So, El Teddy, you want to say hi to the folks or anything like that?
Hello. Well, how are you? It's me. I am here. Yeah, we're here. I'm in a good place. I'm in good spirits. Me and Really B had a conversation about some stuff, and this is a great distraction. I might even do a live later tonight, y'all. You know, but yeah, I'm here for y'all, and I love I love talking education with y'all. So I'm just so glad to be here, and I hope that what we discuss here today does help the person. I hope they come in the chat, but does help the person who is going into education. Even if you're not going into education, it will give you a small glimpse into the window of what it is to be a teacher, kind of what it all involves in everything that, not everything, but it'll give you a small taste of what it's like when you're a new teacher. I wish Discover Diz was here because I think he's been teaching a lot less time than us. So his memories of being a first-year teacher is a lot more fresh than probably yours and mine, because you know you've been teaching since God was a child, and I've been teaching. This is year 16 for me. So, but I mean, you have been teaching since like God was a child. I mean, let me get my Kool-Aid.
And I knew he was going to find a way to I knew that was coming. That's why I started giving him the look before he even said anything, because I knew that was coming. And it's really, so I want to say, hey, Belize. Hey, Sassy. Thank you, Belize. Oh, you know, he stays being shady. So I know it's funny because yesterday after we did the podcast, we ended up having a conversation we were at Mink's house, and we ended up having a conversation with her husband, Mink, and Face. And it got heated. Like, it got heated. But here's the thing that I can appreciate about when you're an adult and you're having a conversation with other adults, y'all don't have to agree. And you can go there, it can peak, it can get heated, and then it can come back down. And at the end of it, we were slapping 5 and we were all good because it was never personal. It was just a difference of opinion and we were on opposite sides. And Mink's husband was just trying to understand some things. And what I was trying to explain to him, not to get too far off the topic, but what I was trying to explain to him was, he was like, well, there should be systems in place that do this, this, and this. And I'm like, there are systems in place. The systems are broken. So what you want to do is create more systems to do the same thing that we already have systems for. But the problem is that the systems are broken. And it goes directly to the topic because it goes into what it is that we do. What are the expectations, you know, what goes into, and as a first year teacher, that expectation and what is realistic and what isn't realistic. Hey, what's up, Trish? How you doing? Welcome. Hey, Mama 6. Hey, you guys. Welcome, everybody.
Hey, everybody in the chat. Hello. I see you all. Hey,
everybody. So, El Teddy, you want to speak about the email you got was just about, is this person starting a new school in the fall? Like they're coming out of college?
They're
Or
coming.
in
I
careers?
don't know. I'm not going to speak to whether or not they're coming out of college, but they
Okay.
never taught before because I don't know. But they've never taught before. They have been hired for the fall, for this coming fall, and they were just talking to me about things. And this could probably turn into another series, maybe later in the summer. But she asked me about it, and I said, okay, well, I'll see if Really B wants to discuss it.
I'm down. So here's the thing: people go into education for a variety of reasons. Most recently, and El Teddy, correct me if I'm wrong, I would say probably within the last 20 years, 20 to 25 years, a lot of people stumbled into education. I know I stumbled into it. You stumbled into it. And a lot of people, I think, stumbled into education for a variety of reasons. I know during that time, there was a teacher shortage, and there were a lot of programs that were created during that time to encourage people to go into education and things like that. There are people who go to college, they get their degree in education, and they go through all of the pedagogy and all that good stuff. And that's like, yes, that's what I'm doing. Then you have your change of life people. You have your people who are in their 40s who say, you know what? This isn't what I want to do anymore. I've always wanted to teach. And they change careers and they go back to school and they do what it is they have to do. Am I speaking pretty accurately?
Yeah. In the same light, with that happening, you have varied levels of expectations of what a teacher does. Even for people who major in education in college, it's not preparation for when you get in there, get in that classroom, and you find out it is what it is.
Yeah.
And so because there are varying backgrounds and varying expectations, you have a myriad of reactions and of outcomes that come with being a first year teacher. And I think between you and I, we might have seen the full gamut of things that happen to first year teachers. Dear Lord. I know our first topic is professional responsibility. And what I think people don't understand is, I know in Florida and even in Texas, and you can speak to DC, teachers have the same set of laws that public officials and police officers and firefighters have, the public servant laws, meaning if certain types of crimes are committed against them, there is an extra added there are extra added repercussions because this is a public figure and the nature of them being not public figure, but a public servant. That's the public servant law. And what happens is, because of that, if there are certain crimes committed on those individuals, especially when they're at their job, there is extra repercussions that go along with that, and so forth. And with that, that means that a lot of times teachers have an extra set of responsibilities that they have to take on outside of work, because you can be at the grocery store minding your own business, not bothering nobody, but because somebody didn't like the nature of the conversation you were having with somebody you came there with, they can report you to the school district, and you may have to go to somebody's office and explain, or you might get in trouble. And so that goes to that's a part of professional responsibility, and things like that. Things like self-reporting, and I know we talked about that. We didn't talk about self-reporting, but we talked about mandatory reporting. We also have self-reporting. For example, if I get arrested, I have 48 hours to call my principal or the school district and say, hey, I've been arrested, or I'm immediately terminated. No questions asked. If I don't report in 48 hours that I've been arrested, I will immediately be terminated. No questions asked. Just
so cool.
things like that.
I know when I worked at the union, well, first of all, in DC, teachers are bonded for $1 million because we open to lawsuits because we're in a very litigious society now. When I worked at the union, I had a situation with a teacher who had put something on Facebook, and based on what she put on Facebook, parents saw it and reported her, and it became a whole thing. And it actually became a situation where the union had to represent her. And it became a disciplinary issue. She ultimately sort of came out on top, but it was a whole thing. And it was based on something she had put on Facebook. And so I think we're a lot more cautious now about our social media presence. But again, in the beginning, it was just all new and people were just doing what they was doing and living la vida loca. And yes, you do have to remember that it's frustrating at times, but you do have to remember that there is an extra expectation put upon you in reference to, there go Discovering Des, in reference to what it is that you do. I know that when I think professional responsibilities, that's good, but I was thinking like lesson planning, grades being turned in.
I saw that on our agenda, so I thought we would get to that.
I did write lesson planning, but I'm thinking like grades being turned in, hall duties.
People, when they come into the teaching profession, what they don't understand is in most professions, you go to work. When you clock out, that is it. You go home and you don't have to think about it. For teachers, when the bell rings and school is out, you might just be starting the work that needs to be done. I might be at home all weekend while everybody else is, doing what they do, frolicking in the streets, having a good time, not being bothered, this, that, and the third. I'm spending hours and hours and hours that I'm not being compensated for, grading papers and, researching and coming up with hey, you see them papers she got?
I literally just got done doing something. You see them highlights and all of that? Mm-hmm. I literally just got done doing something that I needed to get done for work for tomorrow, like just now. El Teddy and I talk damn near every day. What do I always tell you I'm doing on Sunday?
Grading papers.
I'm always grading papers on Sunday.
Listen.
I sit in front of the TV, I block out a couple of hours, and I'm grading papers on Sunday. Ain't nobody paying me for that.
Belize. Is that Belize who put that comment? I want to get that. I do want to discuss that. What about the teacher who said F them students? I do want to discuss that, but we can discuss that a little bit later.
Believe said who failed. Nobody failed. I
will say this.
That's true, Des.
One of the things that the other thing that a lot of people don't understand is one of the movies that I saw, a lot of people didn't like it. I didn't care for it a lot. But there was one part that was so true to the profession. I think it was Freedom Writers. Remember they had the little, I forgot the.
I've never seen Freedom Writers.
I've seen Freedom Writers.
Because I can't do another movie about the little white teacher that comes and says.
Oh, yeah. Freedom Writers was the little white teacher. Yeah. Okay. Yes. So even though it was another one of the, but there was one part that I thought was so true that never really gets talked about a lot. But the toll that it takes on a relationship that you may have, or even if you are married, the toll that it may take on you and your spouse and that, or the person that you're with in the relationship, because of the simple fact that I just remember in the movie, her and her husband would have these fights about, you care more about these kids than you care about us and our relationship, and you spend more time working on stuff for this job and your kids do you do working on building us and making us. And that's a part of it where you have to learn how to maneuver, and it is extremely difficult. Even the most seasoned education professional educators have a difficult time with that balance because of the the amount of time that you do spend having to, well, I'm not going to buy this for the house, but I'm going to buy this for my classroom. Well, I'm not going to go out and do this with my husband. I'm going to spend this time grading papers. Well, I'm not going to do this, but I need to do this. There is a lot of time outside of the job, and a lot of people just don't understand it because they don't understand the nature of the job. And that's something that when you're coming in, you have to understand what you're signing up for when you come into this profession, because it is very taxing on your personal life, very taxing.
Yeah. No, because I'm thinking, but it's very stressful. When you start getting into Des, I put Des's comment up there, and it's very valid. You know, even outside the physical work, that is something that I had to learn how to do. I had to learn how to cut it off. When I got off work, and like I said, I'm not talking about the grading papers part of it, because like we just told you that just is what it is. But I'm talking about the stress. I'm talking about, you know, what Johnny did and what Sue did and what so-and-so said and what so-and-so said. Like I had to learn how to leave it at work.
It will consume you.
It absolutely will. And especially depending on what type of environment you work in right now.
Exactly. Because if you work in a type of environment where it's so many kids going through so many things, and it will really tug at your emotions. I mean, it's great to be somebody who's, you know, has a lack of emotion like me. And so when they come to you with all of that stuff, you be like, okay, you got my work done? Because what are we talking about? You know what I'm saying? And I was always that harsh teacher that just didn't care. But when you're first coming in, you're like, oh my God, because when they come and tell you, you know, I ain't ate today. And you like, wait, what? You ain't ate? You know what I'm saying? Or they tell you, listen, I ain't come to school for the last 3 days because I literally had to be on the block, because the only way we make money is by me being on the block, or our lights gonna go off, or we gonna be kicked out of the house. Like, well, you like,
right. Well, I think I told this story before about my first year teaching. I had a student who disappeared for a week. And when she came back to school, she was asleep. And I was like, you know, because again, this is my first year teaching and I don't know no damn better. I was like, oh, no, you're not going to be absent for a week and then walk up in my classroom and think you're going to be asleep and da-da-da-da-da and da-da. Like I gave it to her for a good minute, right? And then, but she stayed after class and she was like, well, I was gone because my mama disappeared. And I had to take care of my little. She was the oldest out of stair steps. It was like 4 behind. Oh, you all right? The emergency broadcast. You good?
Yeah, there was an Amber Alert. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm surprised my phone didn't go out. Well, I guess it's just for that area. But you know, she was the oldest. Mind you, she was a 9th grader, but she was the oldest, and behind her were like 4 other ones, all the way down to one that wasn't old enough to even go to school. So because her mama disappeared for a week, she couldn't go to school because she had to stay home and take care of the babies. And then she said, and my mother came home last night and I was up all night talking to her. That's real stuff that that was like an after school special for me. Like it wasn't my reality. You know what I mean? And so those are the things that will consume. You're right. That's the kind of stuff that, oh my goodness, will stay on your mind and consume you. You know what I mean? I had a student during summer camp a few years ago. Oh my God. See, that's what I'm saying, Des. See, and people don't understand. We do get connected to these kids. As much as we laugh and joke and talk about whatever, we do get connected to these kids. I missed 2 days of work last week, but I missed the same kids. I just spent $60 at the Safeway taking them a treat because I felt bad because I wasn't there for their class last week. And so those are the kinds of things, you know, that they don't teach you that in school.
They also don't teach you that.
I mean, I can't even imagine, Des.
They also don't teach you that. Let me tell you, one of my first pieces of advice to a first-year teacher is the first year is the worst experience of your existence. Prepare for that. Do not base the whole education system or your teaching career on that first year, because that first year is horrible. It is nobody has a good first year. No one. I don't care if you meet a teacher and they tell you they had a great first year teaching, they are
lying.
They are lying. Because there were a lot of days where I went to my car and asked God, was he playing some kind of cruel joke on me? Like it was really like it was like, oh my God. Discovering that, I'm gonna get to that in a second, because that's something that even as you get older as a teacher and you have students that do die and pass away,
it never gets easier.
It never gets easier. It never gets. I got some tragic. So I got even a story where I told this boy, I was taught him for 8th grade. I told him he was never gonna make it to 9th grade playing around with me, and I ended up overriding his grade and passing him, and he ended up dying 2 weeks before he started 9th grade.
Oh,
I was at the funeral, almost lost my mind. I said, oh my God, stuff like that. But you're going to have a horrible first year. You're not going to get it right. Everything you learned, you're going to throw that mess in the garbage, and you're going to say, let me just try my own, way. And it is what it is. That's something that comes with the territory. It is hard to do this thing. It is not easy. It is hard. And then you're going to get mad because you're going to have that veteran teacher that hit your classroom off the chain. They're going to step in there, and in a matter of 2 words, them kids going to get together, shut it down, and have it together. And you're going to be like, what? Why I can't? And then as soon as that teacher walk out, they're going to be bouncing off the walls again. And you're going to be like, what the hell? It's just,
baby,
like that.
Look.
Woo! Child. I was just saying earlier, discovered that I think you've been teaching probably less years than me or really be. And you may be more familiar with what your first year was like. This is year 16 for me. Really be, this is like year 49.
I knew you was gonna say
something. But yeah, there's a lot that goes with professional responsibilities. You end up doing a lot of stuff you said you ain't gonna do, but you be like, I ain't keeping nobody else's kids. Guess who's gonna be? You a first year teacher. Your AP or your principal gonna open your door. Here goes some kids. Go ahead and let them sit in here for a moment or two. And stuff like that. There are things that you said you would never do. I ain't spend no money on these raggedy kids, and you'll find yourself spending money.
Man, you know how much money I spent my first couple of years teaching? I mean, I still spend a lot of money, but my first couple of years teaching, child.
Until you learn those tricks of the trade, certain those, insider secrets that you only learn once you've been in a classroom a couple years. There are some things that I know about being about teaching from a veteran standpoint that I don't tell my first year teachers, because they need trial and error. They need to be tried by the fire. Some things you got to go through the experiencing what it's like, and then I'll teach you the easy way. I agree, discovering this. Please take your lunch, baby. I don't play around by lunch, baby. I'm on lunch. Can I talk to you? No, you cannot. I'm on lunch. My AP will call. Can we meet right now? No, we cannot. I'm on my lunch. Leave me alone. This is my planning period. I am free from you people at your level brand of foolery. Please take your lunch.
And I'm gonna say this, and I know my point of view is biased on this. For a first year teacher, I encourage you to go to your union meeting, get a copy of your union contract, read it, know your rights, responsibilities, what know the process, know who the people in the building are that you need to talk to if there is an issue. A lot of people don't. The unions are just not valued like they used to be and respected like they used to be. And if you don't have if you don't have a union, you're right there. That's another conversation. But if you have a union, I'm saying even people who have unions, again, working for the union, I ran into a whole lot of young teachers who just don't see any use for the union and don't respect the union. And I'm like, baby, if it wasn't for the union, you wouldn't have stuff that you have now. And so, and I know with Teach for America and programs like that, the union was not encouraged. And so a lot of them were discouraged from getting involved in union activities. But again, the union is there to help when it, like, again, stuff like that, like taking your, taking your lunch break and things of that nature. So, okay. So, yeah.
But let me ask the question, how do you get past wanting to quit?
Ooh.
One of the things, I'm going to be very honest with you, even now as a veteran teacher, as bad as the kids are, the thing that makes me want to quit most is the adults. It's always the adult, because I expect the kids to be the kids. Children are going to be children, and my expectation of what they do is not that high. But it's always the adults, the other teachers, the administrators, the parents. Believe it or not, parents are one of the biggest reasons why a lot of people leave the profession. And it's not until you become a teacher until you realize, and that changes your whole mindset on how you go to a school from then on out and approach a teacher or that school about what your child did or did not do. Because parents, you all don't know, the parents that our generation, that those of us who are Generation X or the early parts of the millennials, meaning born in the early to late 80s, those millennials, your parents were the baby boomers, most of them. So their parenting was different from how our Generation X parents, because we have mainly a lot of helicopter parents, whereas that come there ready to go to blows for their child, whereas back in the day, that parent was ready to go to blows with their child about what their teacher said.
Yep.
See, parents come there today, guns a blazing, ready to do all of this ranting and raving and say, my child, my child, my child. Never even tried to hear what your child actually did. Never even try to get an understanding of why your child had the experience that they had. And so it's flipped completely in reverse from what it used to be. Because I remember going to school, if they called my house, there was nothing I could say. When I grew up, if the school called my house, there was nothing I could say. I could have been as right as rain, and they could have been wrong as all get out. But I was wrong, because the school had to call them, and that means that they had to leave work and go to that school. I was going to be wrong by every stretch of the imagination, even when I wasn't wrong. And I'm not saying that you have to be like that, but what I'm saying is, when you're talking about people wanting to quit, most times, as bad as the kids are, even for a veteran teacher, it's those adults. It's the adults that really make you say, you know what, I can't do this no more.
And that's the thing. We would talk again. That was part of the conversation yesterday. But that's the thing. And I see your question, Belize. I'm gonna get you in a second. But that's the thing with when I first started teaching, we were allies. Teachers and parents were allies. And then the 20 years that I've been teaching, this is my 21st year, El Teddy, of teaching. Don't you do it. Don't you do it.
Let you tell it.
In the 21 years that I've been teaching, that is no longer the case. Like El Teddy said, they are all we're always the enemy. We're always wrong, no matter what we do, no matter what we say. And they always come up to the school ready to fight. It's never they come up to the school as an ally. And when I say never, obviously I don't mean every single person I ever met, but the majority of them are always on defense. I'm always defending myself, or always feeling like I have to defend myself. But Lisa, to answer your question, there are different types of certification. So based on your certification so for myself, I'm certified 6 through 12. So I am qualified to teach any grade, 6th grade through 12th grade. And my certification is in social studies. So any class that falls under the umbrella of social studies. So for example, right now, I teach U.S. history and AP psychology, but my principal can change my schedule to government, world history, sociology, like, because that's what my certification is. Right now, I teach mostly 9th grade. My principal can put me on 11th grade, So depending on your concentration, depending on your certification, it goes into, what you.
But that becomes tricky as well. You are certified in your subject area, and the grade levels that you can teach, but then the principal does have the say so on what classes you get.
That's what I just said.
Wait, let me fit. Hello. Let me do this. But going further, your principal has a lot of say so in whether you get all of the good kids or whether you get all the bad kids.
Mm-hmm.
Your principal can say, baby, I'm giving you all of the ruffians, okay? All day long, all level ones, all day long. That's what you're getting. Or your principal can say, no, I'm giving you all of the gifted and talented all day long, all AP classes all day long. And they do have that kind of control. They do get some insight or help with that from maybe their APs and or department chairs. But by and large, when you get to, once you're at a school site, and for example, once you're at your school and you are certified for, let's say you're certified for middle school, okay? Once you're there and let's say you're certified in math. If you're certified math, all you know is I'm a math teacher in middle school. Your principal still has the power to place you wherever they want within the math department at that school, because you're certified to teach all the kids at that school. So they can say, oh, I'm gonna give you 6th grade, or I'm gonna give you this grade, because every teacher knows after a couple years which grades you want and which grades you do not want. If you're at middle school, every teacher will tell you the worst grade levels, K through 12, is 7th grade. 7th grade is the worst grade level, K through 12. I don't care. You ask any teacher, what's the worst grade level in all K through 12? 7th. It's 7th grade. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes, and this is where we get back to the point I just made earlier about it's the adults sometimes. Sometimes you may feel like your administration has it out against you. Let you be that teacher that always got a lot to say, or that's always a contrarian to what they're trying to do with the administration. Baby, they can make your life a living hell.
Mm-hmm.
They know the kids just like you do, and they know those parents too, just like and sometimes better than you do. So they say, oh, you want to play with me? Okay, I'm gonna give you these kids. See how you like that. And they do that.
And they do. That is so true. That is very valid, sir. Now,
they do that.
Do we want to move to lesson planning?
Listen, lesson planning is the bane of every teacher's existence.
Absolutely.
There is no teacher you're going to ever find that said, oh, I just love lesson plan. You know how every job has that one thing that no matter how much you love the job, no matter how much that is your thing, there's this one part that you hate. For us teachers, lesson plans are that thing that we hate. I'm trying to take. There's no escaping lesson plans. That's professional duties and responsibilities. You got to have lesson plans, but you hate lesson plans. I got so good with lesson plans at one point for a couple of years where, because I was teaching the same grade levels and the same classes, I just changed the date.
Okay. Oh, hello. Yeah.
What I'm not going to do is rewrite all of these lesson plans. Lesson plans.
Mm-mm.
They're a necessary evil. You got to do lesson plans. They are necessary. You can't get caught without lesson plans as much as you hate them.
Yeah. And again, there are a lot of resources, because I'm also about not reinventing the wheel. There are a lot of great resources out there for teachers.
Mm-hmm.
But absolutely, lesson planning is just, oh gosh. And for me, because of the way I stumbled into education, I had never been taught how to write a lesson plan. So there was a whole learning process with me on how to even write a lesson plan. And lesson plans are one of those that vary from district to district as far as what they want the format to look like, what types of, like, whose format you're gonna use,
what has to be on the lesson plans.
Right. Yeah. And even down to how they want your lesson plans in the classroom. Like I taught, El Teddy and I have talked offline. When I taught in DC, I used to have a folder taped to my door that would have my lesson plans in it. So if anybody walked in my room, it was right there. Where I work now, they gave each of us a red binder at the beginning of the year, this huge red binder. And that's where they want all of our lesson plans and stuff. So when they come in our room, they should be able to just go straight to our desk and pick up the red binder. So even that is something that changes from district to district, sometimes from school to school.
Mm-hmm.
But what is consistent is that you better have one. When they walk in the room,
do your lesson plans have to be approved, Belize? In a lot of places, yes. In most places, some places they don't. Like here in Texas, they don't have to get their lesson plans approved unless it's for their official observation, but just their regular lesson plans, they don't. Where I'm from, my previous district in Miami, your lesson plans had to be approved most times by your department chair, sometimes by your APC or the assistant principal over curriculum. But they do, they should be aligned though. When they come in, most districts have a scope and sequence or curriculum map for the year, where during this time of the year or during this week or weeks, you should be teaching these standards or these lessons, and that's where you can, and that's where you should be. You can actually call your local district and ask them, can I see what the curriculum map is for my child who's having X class and he or she is in X grade, so I know where they're supposed to be, because I'd like to know what my child's teacher should be at, because they're supposed to be, if I'm just gonna go from English, they're supposed to be over here teaching poetry, but they're over here teaching nonfiction. And I just need to know that the homework that they're getting is aligning with what the district has said that they should have. But yes, lesson plans should be approved at the bare minimum when you're getting observed. When that teacher has to be observed, those lesson plans do have to be submitted and so forth. But for a lot of people, they do it like we used to do it on a weekly basis. You had to turn in your lesson plans the Thursday before the week you were going to do it to your department chair. And I was the department chair. A lot of time I ain't even read them. You turned them in. All right, good. Because I just had too much to do. But yeah.
Well, for me, when I worked in DC, the only people that had to turn their lesson plans in were new teachers and teachers that were on an improvement plan. Those are the only ones that had to be approved. Again, at any point in time, my principal could come in my room and ask to see my lesson plans and read them. But nobody had to actually turn them in for approval, except for, like I said, if you were a first-year teacher or you were probationary, and if you were on some sort of action plan, like, that you're not doing your job, there are different reasons why teachers aren't on action plans, but if you're on some type of action plan. Now, when I worked at the charter school, we did have to submit our lesson plans every 2 weeks. So it differs. Where I work now, no, like El Teddy said, only for a formal observation do I have to turn my lesson plans in. I don't even have to turn them into my department chair. But we do have common planning, and when we meet and we do our common planning, we do have to fill out a template, basically outlining what it is that we're working on, what types of, so we do have, there's a template we have to fill out so that people can, my principal, that template is shared all the way up to, actually the superintendent has access to it if she wants to look at it, basically showing what it is that we're doing. And again, it should match the scope and sequence. It should, if my curriculum says that right now I'm supposed to be, in the 1940s and I'm supposed to be talking about World War II, I need to be within a reasonable window of that. So when they look at our common planning, I better not be talking about World War I. You know what I mean? So that's the kind of stuff. But yeah, it varies. It doesn't. I know.
To answer your question, Belize, substitutes do not have to do lesson plans. It is up to that teacher when they are absent to leave lesson plans. A lot of times what happens is either that teacher may not leave them at all, or maybe they left them in a place and that sub just didn't know where to find them. A lot of times they may leave it with their administration or with the department chair. Like I knew as a department chair, I kept emergency lesson plans where even if they had to submit 2 weeks worth of emergency lesson plans. So even if that teacher did not leave lesson plans, they had already submitted to me as department chair 2 weeks worth of emergency lesson plans. So I knew, and they had to update those lesson plans every marking period. Those lesson plans had to be updated every marking period because they didn't want it to be outdated. But I could, if that sub didn't have plans, because most times as a department chair, I had a lot of duties. If a teacher was absent, my job was to take that sub to the room, open the door for them, make sure they had the roster so they could call the roll. And then what I would do is I would either show them, okay, I would either look and see, okay, here's the lesson plans that the teacher left. They might have left it on the board or on their desk. Or if there was nothing left, I would say, give me just a moment. Let me go to my class and get their folder with their emergency lesson plans. And that's how that works. But no, the substitutes are not required. Now, I do know some districts where subs have to go through formal training. Now there's a lot more protocols and that I'm seeing in a lot of districts and trainings that subs have to do now than they used to have to do some years ago.
Again, for what El Teddy just said is pretty much the same here. If a teacher is out on long-term leave, then the department chair, I know in my school, then we had a teacher in my department, unfortunately, went out on, he had a brain tumor and he went out, he's actually still out. And so they had to bring in a long-term sub. And so that person has been working with the department chair, you know.
Exactly. And that department chair had to do all the lesson plans for them.
The department
grade papers. Reading the papers. I've had to do that.
Yeah, but in that case, the long-term sub is sort of a little bit more vested because they know they're going to be with the same kids every day and they know they have a long-term assignment. When a sub just comes in for one day, believes it may not always be so much that they didn't know what to teach. They just weren't vested. And no disrespect to a sub, but they just weren't vested on the same level. There's some subs that come in and they are awesome, you know. And then there's some subs who, unfortunately, going back to what we were just talking about, where these kids were dealing with the level of respect, they're getting beat up before they walk in the door. I mean, the minute a kid finds out they have a sub, oh my gosh,
it's game on.
Yeah, and so a lot of times the subs might, you know, like I know I was out, like I just told you guys, I was out twice last week. Now, the one day I was out, I left the work. I left the work on my desk. I left the work I leave it in two separate places. The assignment written out and it said sub work 4. I put the wrong date, right? I put sub work for February the 18th because that was the day I wrote the work out. It was supposed to be for February the 19th. And the sub told the kids, oh, I don't think that's y'all's assignment because that was for yesterday. But what? So it was one of those things where I was like, you know what? I put the wrong date. But at the end of the day, can you use a little common sense? Like
they might not have known.
That's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. Ultimately, that's on me. I wasn't mad. I was just like, what? Like, because I was like, where's my work? Hello, where's my work? They were like,
Sometimes if I knew that that I was gonna be absent, I would tell my kids,
hey, good night.
And say, here's what the assignment was. I would listen, my kids knew. I had all kinds of protocols in place. They knew not to let nobody else in my classroom that didn't belong to them. They knew they would even help each other. I told them, listen, let me tell you something. If one person don't have my whole assignment done from that day the sub wasn't there, it's gonna be on and popping. Y'all better help each other. Y'all better be in here working. And I always gave more than enough work. But I say y'all better do it in parts and share it with each other. Because I'm telling you now, if one person that is marked here doesn't have the entire assignment, I'm thinking the whole classroom was out of control. And I'm gonna get everybody. I'm getting everybody. I don't care who you is, good, bad, and in between. Get over it. Call your parents now. They can come argue with me now. You have to do certain things like that. I even had one year where they knew even if you don't see no substitute lesson plans, Here's my emergency lesson plan that you keep in the back of your composition book. If Dr. So-and-so is not here, this is what we are to do. Play with it. Let me come
I
back.
always tell my kids it's worth an assessment grade. I said, this is going to be worth a test grade.
Go ahead and play with it. Find you somebody to play with.
You cannot turn it in if you want to, but that's going to be worth a test grade. So, yeah, I mean, those are the little tricks. But see, going back to the first year teacher, those are the things that you don't know as a first year teacher.
Mm-hmm. You don't learn those things.
Right.
You that next day, and your whole class, they done stole everything out your desk. They done ripped everything off the wall. Baby, they done had 4 and 5 fights. They had a brothel going on in the back of the room. Your classroom turned into the teen club. I'm trying to tell you what I know.
Man, let me tell you something. This wasn't my first year teaching, but this was within the first couple of years of me teaching. I used to buy from Costco. I used to buy the cases of tea because I had my old classroom in DC. I had a walk-in closet, so I had plenty of space. So I used to buy the cases. I used to love the sweet tea. I used to buy the cases of sweet tea. And ate all your candy, and I kept snacks in my closet. Now, mind you, the snacks were for the kids because it's always kids that don't have lunch. There's always kids that So the snacks were for them. The snacks weren't even for me, baby. I was absent one day and forgot to lock that damn closet. That whole damn case of salt and tea was gone. All the snacks gone, and I'm thinking somebody had to see this. Like
they saw it.
Somebody had to see this.
They saw it.
El Teddy, the other day, they didn't have a sub in my room, and I was cussing and fussing. I found the daggone Uno box. I said they not even smart enough to throw away the evidence because the kids snitched on themselves. They as soon as they saw me, they ran up to me and said, "Mrs. So-and-so, they didn't even have a sub in there with us, and we were in there by ourselves." I said, y'all done snitched on yourself, because they knew it was about to be on and popping. So, but I go in my room, and of course, it looked like who done it and why. A tornado done hit, because they were in there by themselves. Honey, I found the box of Uno. I said, so y'all weren't even smart enough to put the box, to just hide the box. And here's what was funny. I'm on the phone with El Teddy, and I have a emergency, like my own charger, and I keep it plugged in behind my desk. You have to really be at my desk to know that the charger's there. Most of the kids don't know the charger's there. Well, at least I thought they didn't know. So my charger was on a desk in the front of the classroom. And I said, well, at least they didn't steal it. That's all I can say. At least they left it here. God darn. But I didn't know I was going to be out. See, that's the kind of stuff I lock up. I don't leave that out when I'm not going, but I didn't know I wasn't going to be at work that day. So, but anyway,
some of the worst parent conferences that I've had where parents came in there ready to windmill me is those days after I had a sub and they ain't act right with that sub, and I come back and I find out, oh baby, it's going down. Baby, your child gonna come up with a whole lot of stories on me, because when I come back that day after y'all done acted up with a sub and I find out, and then after that I don't have no more problem. The rest of the year I have subs begging, are you gonna be absent? Can I do your class? Sure.
You know what? That's the wonderful feeling when the sub wants to cover your classes, because I have that too. They get mad. They get mad if I do not tell them. They be like, why didn't you tell me that you were gonna be? Because I want that. So I can honestly say that's a great feeling when the subs want to cover your classes.
I need your class because they run themselves. They don't play well. They already know how it goes. They teaching me stuff. I be like, child, because they know I'm gonna come in there and act real off.
Right on that. Everybody had a full charge that day, honey, off my damn charger.
One of our other topics was Teachers Lounge. Oh, we didn't do observations, huh?
Well, we can go back to observations if you want to.
But Teachers Lounge. Teachers Lounge can be dangerous.
Stay out the Teachers Lounge. If you are a freshman teacher, I'm telling you, if you have to go in there to warm up your food, go in and get out. Do not hang out in the Teachers Lounge. It is a cesspool of negativity, nastiness, and it's a whole bunch of tomfoolery that you will get yourselves caught up in.
Mhm.
My aunt was a teacher, and she told me that my first year teacher, she said, stay out the teacher's lounge. And I ain't know what she meant until about halfway through my first year. And I said, oh. And I never really hung out in the teacher's lounge, but baby.
You listen. All they do in the teacher's lounge is they're gonna complain about everything. Listen, let me tell you something. They're gonna complain about everything.
And it's the most jaded ones.
And then they got all the gossip going on in the teacher's lounge. Okay. They're gonna talk about everybody, and then those be the ones that gonna say all of the bad stuff about the principal, about the OPs, and everything out loud. And then what's gonna end up happening is somebody gonna come in there, see you in there sitting with them, and when the story is told to that principal or AP, it's gonna be said that you was in there in the conversation talking about said principal or talking about said AP, and now you gonna end up being getting the backlash.
Yeah.
What happens is those veteran teachers know, especially if they got a union, them veteran teachers know, oh, the principal ain't gonna bother me. The AP is not gonna bother me because I'm old. I got hours. I got years in the game. They ain't gonna give me no smoke because they know they got to go through a whole lot of bells and whistles for that veteran teacher. But you, as a first year teacher, as a new teacher, they can fire you tomorrow. No, that's another thing. You, as a first year teacher, you can be fired tomorrow. The principal can come
with the union. You are probationary.
Yeah, the principal can come there and say, "I don't like that outfit that you have on today. You need to go home. You don't have to come back."
Look, I had a principal that would send people home in a minute if they were inappropriate. My principal said, "Oh shoot," my principal said that to me. My first year teacher, I mean, she saw me talking to somebody that she didn't like, and she caught me on the stairwell, honey. And she said, "Now I hired you, and I don't make mistakes. So did I make a mistake? Because I'm questioning your, what you say? I'm questioning your ability to judge character or something to that effect." I said, and I really didn't know what the hell she was talking about in the moment. And then I had to think about it. I said, oh, she saw me having a conversation with so-and-so. Honey, I said, oh, no, ma'am, you didn't make a mistake. I didn't even know what she was talking about at the time. But I said, no, ma'am, you didn't make a mistake. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. But because she saw me talking to, she didn't even know what we was talking about. But just the mere fact that I was having a conversation with somebody she didn't like, honey.
You gotta learn how to pick your battles on all levels.
Yes, it is, Belize.
Hey, it's me, D. When you talk about with administration, baby, you are a new teacher. It's not worth it. But it's not worth it. Go ahead and keep your head in the ground. Don't say nothing and keep it moving. Now, when you get a couple years, get about 5 or 6 years under your belt, now you can go in there and be like, what it do? But until then, keep a low profile. The other people that you got to pick your battles with is students. And I see a lot of frustration with new teachers because they want to be like, Sergeant Slaughter on every single thing, and they want to nitpick everything. You got to pick your battles. For example, as an English teacher, one of my battles that my kids knew was, baby, when you walk in my classroom, you will have your pants. You will have a belt on, and you will have your shirt tucked in your pants. Girl, guy, and anything in between. It's no questions that I don't care if your mama did tell you don't have to do it. Until your mama gets certified to become a teacher, they put you on your mama's schedule and she's teaching you, then you can go by her rules. But right now, you can stay outside and you'll be getting zeros until you get your life in order. But my kids knew I was about tucking your shirt in, girls, guys, and in between having a belt. But I didn't have a problem with hoods. And now my principals in them, hoodies or anything on the head, they didn't play around with. That never bothered me. That was a fight that I wasn't willing to have. You know what I'm saying? Even like with this, one of the biggest fights the teachers have, and I'm gonna tell you this now as a new teacher, is cell phones. Cell phones is the biggest fight that every teacher can tell you that they have. So my thing was, I would tell my kids, listen, we're not gonna fight over your cell phone. I know you're gonna be on your cell phone. Just if I catch you with your cell phone, all I'm gonna say is go put it on my desk. You leave it on my desk for the until the end of the day. I'll go over to my desk, put it in my drawer so nobody pick it up and nothing like that. At the end of class, You come pick up your phone and you going on about your business. We ain't got no smoke. We ain't got no fire. You pick up your phone at the end of class, you going on about life. I ain't got to tell your mama. I ain't got to call nobody. We ain't got to go through all this song and dance. But I think most school districts' policy is if a child has a cell phone out, it can be confiscated and a parent will have to pick it up. My old district was so bad about it. It said that a child could have their phone confiscated. It could be sent down to the district and the parent would have to come and show proof of purchase for that phone in order to pick it up. It was in black and white. And when I used to print that out to the student and say, now you want to go through all this? Or you want to just go put it on my desk until the end of class, you pick it up, I give it to you, and we ain't got no smoke. I ain't got to write your name down. I don't got to take it down to the office. I ain't got to know nothing. All I got to know is you ain't got that phone on no more in my class. And so those are some of the things. You got to pick your battles and pick your fights, because when you do pick that fight, you better be ready to go tooth and nail for it. You better be ready to fight to the death, because they're going to fight you to the death, and you got to be ready to fight to the death on it. You got to pick your battles.
And I'm gonna say this when it comes to the cell phone issue, you have to, and this is my opinion, El Teddy may disagree. You have to already have, in my opinion, an established. How do I want to word this? You have to already have some things established and a certain level of relationship with the kids, because our kids are physically addicted to their cell phones. Like they really feel like it is a part of their body that they will die without it. But if you establish the protocol, like El Teddy said, like in my classroom, I have a phone jail. I have two things. I have
a phone jail.
Yeah. I have a charging station where
that's my phone jail. The charging station is the phone jail.
Right. I have two different things. So I have my phone jail and my charging station. My charging station, I went to Target and bought one of them, extended charger where you can plug up 5 or 6 devices at one time. That's in the back of my classroom. And the kids know you can put your phone on the charger, but you cannot visit your phone. Once it's on the charger, it is there until the end of class. And most of the kids don't have a problem with that, because most of them always need some daggone juice. And a lot of teachers don't let them plug their phones up. So for them, it's a treat. The other one is my phone jail. If you cannot govern yourself accordingly, your phone goes into the jail. And all my jail is an old shoe rack that I have hanging up, and they put their phone in one of the slots, and there's an index card with a number on it, so they know what number they put the slot in. And before I, dismiss class, I make sure all devices have been accounted for, because again, I ain't responsible for nothing. Does everybody have their phone off the charger station? Does everybody have their phone out of the jail? Okay, now we are dismissed. Because see, the bell don't dismiss you. I dismiss you. Yeah. So I make sure all things are in place. So yeah, but again, can a first year teacher walk in on the first day of school and do that? Probably not. But is it something that can be built up to? Yeah, absolutely it can. But
like my charging station is my jail. I'll tell a student in a minute, especially the ones that come in after lunch. Oh yeah, you could charge your phone. I had like 5 or 6 surge protectors over there.
Yeah.
You could charge, and they had numbers by it. And I would give you your number and you charge it. But when it went there, it was there for the remainder of class.
Yeah, that's it. You don't get to visit it. Nah, you
weren't picking it up. Another thing, and I talked about this with you, Really B. I have a thing, you can only write in pen in my classroom. So if a student say, I don't have no pen today, I would say, fine, shoes or cell phone. Which one you giving me? You giving me your shoes or your cell phone in exchange for my pen? When you give me your shoes or your cell phone, then I'll give you a pen. And when you give me back my pen, I'll give you back your shoes or your cell phone. Because everybody either got a pair of shoes on or you got a cell phone. And that's how I alleviated the but there are different things that
you have to be creative and all of that stuff.
One of the things that you talked about, Really B, is as a first year teacher, some of these things you aren't going to have up front. Like I know after I had taught for X amount of years at a school, the reputation for me had been built up. I started to see the brother, the sister, the cousin, the friend, and they had to already school that young man or young lady and said, listen, don't go up in that man class with it because he's not here for it. I'm telling you now.
Yeah.
If you go up in there with it, He's gonna get you together. You will be gathered. And some of them will still try it.
Yeah.
Some of them will still try it. And you have to gather them. You have to let them know, baby, the stories are true. And they're not even.
They have a whole, they have a whole, exactly. And that's what it is, because you build up that reputation. My last name begins with a P, and they call me Petty last name. I'll be like, and I am that. I am that. I'm so petty. That is me. Because see, I'm the teacher that stops you before you walk in the door and make sure you're in full uniform, make sure I see your ID. And they be like, well, so-and-so, I've been wearing this all day and nobody said nothing to me. I have nothing to do with that. I don't have nothing to do with what anybody else said or did. But what you're not doing is walking in my classroom like that. So I don't know, find you a uniform. I don't know what you need to do, ma'am.
Wait, Shawnette say her 11-year-old told her friends that she was below the poverty level. That's why she don't have no phone. You know, I
expect that your 11-year-old understands what that means.
Oh, she said, baby, she gonna tell it. She gonna be like, we post, so I can't afford.
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious.
Ooh, she had to embarrass.
I'm below the poverty line, child.
That's so wrong. She embarrassed you like that, child. But observations. So we stay on the agenda. With observations, don't get caught off guard. And as a new teacher, I'm gonna tell you, one of my mantras as a new teacher and as a veteran teacher was always, you're not gonna catch me off guard. First day, 1000th day, I'm gonna be doing what I do every day. Don't be the teacher that gets caught off guard, because really Beast, in her district, they do formal observations when in advance. I came from a district where they would have unannounced observations and you ain't know. So you ain't have no choice but not to be, on point every day. And if you follow some of these rules, some of the protocols and policies are in place for a purpose, so that you can get the best out of your day and your instruction. So some of it is worthwhile pedagogy that will keep you focused on what you do as a professional educator. And so observations, that's what they're for. They're there to help make sure that you are, because at the end of the day, it's not about you. It's about, are you educating these children? That's the long and short of it. At the end of the day, are you providing the best and most optimal level of education to those students? What you inevitably want is, you want it to be where there's a waiting list to get to your class, but the principal have to tell the parents, oh, I know y'all heard about Dr. So-and-so, but ain't no more room in his classes. You don't have no more room. I can't put your child in there, and they over there. But I'm sorry. It's closed. You know what I'm saying?
You definitely, and see, here's the thing. There are two different things. And like El Teddy was saying, you have an unannounced, understand, as a first year teacher, understand that. And again, depending on your district. So that goes back to, this is now observations and reading your teacher handbook / union contract. And again, if you don't have a union, obviously you disregard that part of it. But that is where it be ultimately so important, because you need to know your rights. As an unannounced observation, a principal, a AP, a department chair in some districts, they have the right to walk into your classroom at any point in time. They don't have to have a reason. They can come in for 5 minutes. They can come in for 50 minutes. They have a right to do it, especially as a new teacher. Oh yeah, they're gonna be coming through there. Now, a formal observation, there are usually some parameters involved in a formal observation. There are usually protocols that have to be followed, due dates, deadlines, and all of that. And so that is very detailed. And as a first year teacher, you definitely want to talk to your department chair and sit down with your department chair and make sure they go over all of that with you so that you know what is expected. But understand that, like, it goes back to the lesson plans and getting caught flat-footed. Like, it's certain things that you should just always be able to do, even if you're having the worst teaching day of your life, because guess what? It happens. You can have the best lesson plan in the world. You could be in the best mood. You can have the best kids, but sometimes it just falls flat. But even if you are having the worst lesson plan, the worst lesson of your day, of your life or whatever, Your principal should always be able to find your lesson plan. Your board should be up to date. And oh shoot, I lost the last one. But your board should be up to date, and they should always be able to find your lesson plan. Like those two things should just be automatic. Now it could be a lesson that just falls short because hell, that happens. But you should definitely, those two things should be it. You know what I mean? Dad says, I never stressed about observations. We had at least 20 by the time we graduated from our program. Okay. So see, for you, that goes back to whether you went to a program for teaching,
right?
Versus,
or if you
know, because I didn't go to a program for teaching.
I didn't either. I didn't graduate with an education, not for undergrad. One of the things that Shawnette said, that's good advice for a new teacher. You always have more than enough work. You have, if your class is an hour
overplaying,
you have enough work for an hour and a half to 2 hours. You should never have a student tell you, oh, I'm done with everything, and not be able to say, okay, great, here's the next thing that you need to do.
Yeah. Overplaying.
My students know it's homework every day. Do not ask, is there homework? Yes, there is. I might not grade all those homework assignments, but there's homework every day without fail. I tell a parent, and here's something that I say to parents at open house. Some places call it back to school night. You know what I tell parents at open house? I say, if your child, son or daughter, comes to you and say that they did not have a homework assignment from me, help me out as English teacher. Have them write you a 2-page paper, front and back essay, a 2-page essay describing what they learned in school today. It should have an intro, a body, and a conclusion. It should be complete. And I promise you, the very first time you tell them to give you that essay, they're going to have no homework no more. They're going to be like, yep, I have homework. Here it is right here. I'll be doing it. That's just little things that I would always see. And so my parents would always be like, ooh, I like that. Because I said, you're killing two birds with stone. You helping me as an English teacher because I got to teach them how to write anyway. They didn't know how to write an essay anyway. And you need to maybe read your son or daughter's writing just to know if they can write. You know what I'm saying? At grade level. You know what I'm saying? If it looks right.
Mm-hmm. So, I had a parent say to me, this happened last year. I mean, it's happened before, but most recently, it usually happens like at least once a year. I have a parent tell me this at least once a year. So-and-so said that you don't ever get him homework. And my response is always, then you should have called me a long time ago. You should be upset with me. Because if I never gave your child, you should be upset. Like, I just flip it. Then you should be mad at me. Mm-hmm. If I never gave homework, I would have a problem with what I'm doing. Like, because does that even make sense? You mean tell me your child went the whole school year, every day, every time you ask them if they had homework, they never had no homework? I got one little kid that he never has a book bag. And I talked to his grandmother. His grandmother said, I know, he don't even carry a book bag. And I'm thinking, do you hear yourself? Like, so yeah, y'all.
Belize, just real quick on that question. When you apply to be a teacher, what they will do is they'll take your transcript from you. They'll examine what courses you've taken in college, and they'll make a determination as to which certification or certifications you would qualify for based on your based on the courses that you took in college. They would let you know based on the state that you're in, the state board of education, and whatever state that you're in, they will make the determination as to what you would qualify for with regard to like I have a whole bunch of certifications. I have English 6 through 12. I actually have middle grade integrated curriculum, meaning 5 through 9. I could teach English, math, social studies, or science. I have gifted and talented that I'm certified to teach. And I also have ESL or ELL, English language learners or English speakers of other languages, meaning when somebody first comes into the country, I can teach those students that are learning English. So all of those are part of my certifications that I have. But it was based on when they looked at my transcript and stuff like that.
Yeah. And again, because because it did the same thing for me, because again, my degree wasn't in education. And so my undergrad degree was in political science. And then I had my minor was in English. So again, I taught English my first 3 years, and then I've been teaching social studies ever since. But my master's is in teaching and social studies. So my certification, when I did my, because I had a provisional license at first because I didn't have all of the coursework I needed for education. So I was provisional, and there were classes that I needed to take. I also have my, special ed certification, and I actually am going to do my ELL. But my problem, see, here's the thing. Okay. And I'm going to say this, and then we're going to get ready to wrap it up. But here's the thing. I don't tell anybody, like when I say I don't tell anybody at my job that I have a special ed certification, because then they're going to want you to do special ed. But when I worked at the jail, they paid for us to get our special ed certification because at the jail, they didn't have the resources to have like separate, self-contained classes and all of those different things. So for them, it was like killing two birds with one stone. So they could tell a lawyer or whoever, yeah, there's a special ed teacher in the classroom at all times. Yeah, it's me. So, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation, which we will get to.
We'll definitely get to it. So what I want to say is this: we're going to get ready to wrap this up. I want to thank you guys for being here. I know this is later than normal, but we wanted to stay consistent and do a show today. But we both had some other things we were taking care of today. But I want to thank you guys for being here as always. We're going to start our series on special ed. We said we're going to do March. March sort of snuck in there today, being March the 1st, but we will be doing that starting next week. Hopefully El Teddy will be, he's working on a project right now, and hopefully he will be in a place where he can do a show Sunday. We will definitely let you guys know if that's not going to happen, but he's got a project he's working on, and I'm not sure where he'll be in that project on next Sunday. Right. So
you won't see my normal background.
Right. There'll be some different things going on, but definitely, but he'll keep us posted. But really quickly, the first part of the series, we're just going to be doing a history of special ed. We ain't going to be going all the way back to the beginning of time, but we do want to get you guys get understanding of, and Des, we may tap into you again. I know we're going to use you up, honey.
Sure live.
But going into the legislation, IDEA, which you have IDEA 1 and then IDEA 2, and that pretty much is like the holy grail for all that is special education. So we just want to kind of get into how that came to be real briefly. Like, we ain't gonna get into all the ins and outs, but how that came to be, and all of these acronyms. Whenever you're dealing with special education, honey, it's a million acronyms. What are those acronyms? What do they mean? And then we'll kind of go from there. Once again, I didn't put the ticker at the bottom of the screen. I apologize. I didn't get that. I didn't do that today. But once again, please feel free to email us with any, here it is right here, with any questions. Again, we got a couple of special ed questions that we will be incorporating into the next couple of episodes that we're going to be doing. But please feel free to reach out to us. It's the Teacher Project 2.0 at gmail.com. And you guys have El Teddy and myself regular email if for whatever reason you forget that. My email is all, and I know El Teddy as well, it's always in the description box of any of our videos that you may be watching on our other channel. So with that being said, El Teddy, final words, final thoughts, final thesis.
But yeah, if you are a first year teacher, I hate to be, this was a phrase that they would say when they had PSAs for the spectrum. And so it applies to a whole lot of different areas. It gets better. I will say, if you stick in there, you work, you refine your craft, you perfect your craft, you stick with it, it does get better.
It does.
But it's rough in the beginning, but you stick with it, you perfect your craft, it gets better. It does.
Baby. Because let me tell y'all, and I'm going to say this before I go. I know I said I wasn't going to shut up, but that heated conversation I had yesterday, I'm going to tell you what set it off. And El Teddy, Dez, and any other teachers that are seeing or hearing this at a later date and time, what was said in the conversation, and this is what set me off. This is what made the conversation go from 1 to 100 when they said, well, all teachers do is complain. Baby! Woo! You want to say, set me off. Okay? Honey. So anyway, let me tell you what, that could be a whole episode. Things that will piss a teacher off quickly. And that is one of them. Okay? All we do is complain. Baby, I probably do more before noon than you do all day. Okay? Okay. Anyway, moving on. I'm like, we like in the Army. We do more before 10 a.m.
I'm mad.
Woo, Lordy. Anyway, y'all. You know what? I would complain too if I get. Thank you, Abby. I love you. You're so eloquent. I love you so much. Oh my gosh. All right, you guys. We get ready to get out of here. I'm about to hit the button. Thank you so much once again for coming through. Please make sure to like, subscribe, share, tell everybody, tell a friend, tell a kin, tell the people you hate. Shout out to Alexander Roger. And we'll talk to you guys later. Peace.
Peace.